Guess we're talking about cameras today. Cameras. So, what is a camera? Cameras are sealed boxes with a small hole that allows light in. Cameras are sealed boxes with a small hole that allows light through to capture an image on a light-sensitive surface. Thank you, Wikipedia. In humans' language, cameras are generally made out of two parts, a camera lens and a camera body. When we take a picture, the light goes through the camera lens and shines on the camera sensor inside of the camera body. And the camera sensor turns it into an image. And there's a lot of ways which we can control the amount of light shines on the sensor. Normally, they are the ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. ISO is how sensitive the sensor is to light. The higher the ISO, the brighter the image gets. But at the same time, the more noise your image will have. This is an image taken with ISO 100. It's just smooth, sharp, and clean. Now let's take a look at this photo, taken with ISO 6400. You can't even make out the details from his face. It's just noise everywhere. An aperture is a hole inside of the lens that allows the light to come through. You can make it bigger or smaller to get a brighter or darker image. At the same time, the larger the aperture is, the more background blur we'll have. The lens I'm using right now is f1.2, written as f over 1.2. The closer this number is to 1, the larger the aperture will be, and that's why I have this blurry background. If you want everything in the frame to be in focus, you can always use a smaller aperture. But remember, the smaller the aperture is, the darker the image gets. Shutter speed. So a shutter is this mirror thingy in front of the sensor. So when you take a photo, the shutter opens for some amount of time. This is the shutter speed of 1 second. And this is the shutter speed of 100th of a second. Since the camera records all the lights within this period, we can use a tripod and use this lower shutter speed to take a long exposure like this. That's a lot. And these are just some basic functions of the camera. People are using cameras in all different kind of ways. Apple uses camera on augmented reality technology. Elon Musk uses camera to make self-driving cars. And drone pilots use cameras to record and transmit image to themselves. And without a camera, none of this would be possible. Everybody knows that I'm a camera guy. But camera means so much more to me than just a filming tool. It's my way of making friends, my way of improving interpersonal relationship. My father is a businessman and he's always on trips for different kinds of business meetings. Of not being home a lot, I'm a lot closer with my mom. At a business meeting last summer in Shanghai, I went with him because I've always wanted to go to Shanghai to capture the big city, to see the Tesla Gigafactory, because I'm a huge Tesla fan. After his meeting, he decided to go to the Gigafactory with me. Upon being so far away from the city, we called a taxi and went all the way north. And when we see good views, we stop and we take pictures together. Although he was on his phone for his business calls all the time, it was still a very fun time. Gigafactory doesn't allow visitors like us, but being a super Tesla fan, I don't mind just walking outside of the factories and take pictures. Seeing the factory from outside of the wall and learning how everything works. And that's how we spend our afternoon. At night, when the big Tesla logo lights up, the entire factory feels like a giant backdrop. At that moment, there's an idea comes to mind. Wouldn't it be cool to have me standing right in front of the factory, lighting up by a drone right over my head, like aliens from Mars trying to take me away? This is super challenging because they don't want anybody hanging around the factory taking pictures, not even mentioning with the drone. When I was still hesitating, my father said to me, "We came all the way here, let's live without any regret." Cameras up, drone in the sky. After showing my dad how the camera works, I went for the shot. There was trial and errors, camera autofocus, my face expression looks stupid, drone flying too high, drone flying too low that almost hit me. When we're finally ready for the shot, a guard walks toward us and yelling we can't do that. I don't want any trouble, so I started to bring down the drone. However, my dad, who was closer to the guard, was still holding that camera, waiting for my best pose. I immediately put the drone back to its place and tried my best to have the best facial expression. The guard stopped us from taking more photos, and we can't do anything but to go back to the city. And on the way back, I saw this perfectly framed, perfectly lighting photo appeared in my camera, and that's the first time that I feel like I have the coolest dad ever. Despite of being that circumstances, he's still able to take the perfect photo for me. I framed it and it's still hanging on the outside of my bedroom wall. It's my favorite photo, not because of the composition and the lighting looks good, but the story behind it. Every photo has a story behind it, and everybody has a camera in their pocket. So everybody can be a photographer or a storyteller. You don't need a degree to take a picture. All you have to do is to press that shutter and your camera does all the job for you. Capture the light within the frame and turn it into a form that lasts forever. I took this black and white self-portrait back in high school on my iPhone 10 when I have no knowledge on photography. Surprisingly, I got Apple's comment after posting it on Instagram. Being such a huge Apple fan, it means so much to me that I got Apple's approval and I'm still bragging about it right now. To be honest, when I was told to write papers about this, I was struggling with what to write. Then they told us to make this a video, and then the ideas are just floating to me. And I have to change my original paper based on the video plan because the plan was so much more smoother. God, I love cameras. Bye.